Well, good morning, CLC. I invite you to begin by taking a deep breath. And just release it very slowly. And just put aside everything that's been going on this morning, everything that's going to come this afternoon, and just simply be here right now. Universal love enfolds me. Universal spirit inspires me. Universal wisdom enlightens me. Universal power encircles me. I am one, and all is well. As we begin the inner healing experience, let me invite you to relax in quiet confidence, opening yourself to the miracle-working higher power. Now symbolize the unity of your thinking and your feeling nature by touching your chest with your hand. And let my words act as your own for your own inner acceptance and receptivity. Acknowledge that there is a power, intelligence, and wisdom greater than my own. I am in the midst of it, and it is in the midst of me, sensitive and responsive to my every thought, word, action, and feeling. I now make this true for myself by saying aloud, I acknowledge. Acknowledging the higher power working through my life, I admit that I am personally responsible for solving my own problems while being guided and assisted by something greater than myself. As I am ready to surrender the conflicts of my ego to the wisdom of the infinite presence, I simply speak these words. I surrender. Knowing that forgiveness is the key to unconditional love and the feeling of heaven, I now unconditionally forgive anyone and everyone who has ever injured me in any way, real or imagined. And I now forgive myself for all my mistaken judgments and their resulting actions. From my deepest level of understanding, now I say, I forgive. Realizing that I continually experience the effects of my own thinking, I now choose to allow this higher power to recreate me deeply, filling my mind with thoughts that are only constructive, positive, loving, and beautiful. I call upon this divine inflow by stating aloud, I choose. I now center upon that one special idea that I am willing to accept as real for me in this coming week. Visualizing the idea as already acted upon and brought to pass. In seeing my idea become a fact of my experience, I enjoy the happiness and peace of my thought fulfilled and gratefully speak these words, I accept. Knowing that I have an everlasting place in the midst of the power that sustains all creation, as well as the support of all those around me, I allow myself to relax in the peace of fulfillment and gratitude and say, I release. Now in my mind's eye, I envision the presence of someone near and dear to me, a family member, a friend, a mentor, someone who has touched my life in deep and loving ways. Someone who's not physically present in the room this morning, or maybe someone who's not on this planet anymore. And I turn towards that image in my mind's eye and say, I'm grateful for the good in your life. I now turn to the world around me and turn joyfully to the people around me and share my gratitude and confidence by saying, I'm grateful for the good in your life.
Okay, so we're doing a series this month on universal mind. There's one life, that life is spirit, that life is all the life there is, and you can call it many different things, and one of my favorite expressions for it is the divine nature. Well, it has attributes, it has aspects, it has usefulnesses, ways that it benefits us practically, and also sort of esoterically, sort of cosmically, mystically, Well, today's about one of the practical aspects of it, how it benefits us, and that is that there's information readily available to each one of us through this universal mind. Here's the idea. There's one mind, as Emerson said, common to all. One mind common to all. And each of us is in that mind, and each of us has that mind within us at the same time. How does this work? Well, we're dealing with infinite spaces. We're dealing with stuff that's beyond spatial and beyond temporal. In that mind is all the information that you might ever need. And it clumps together in different, it sorts itself into different packages. So yesterday, we had the second of 3 all-day classes. David and I are leading for the Holmes Institute. And yesterday was the day when these students presented oral reports, and they were phenomenal reports. They had PowerPoint, they had all kinds of wonderful, wonderful images and interesting takes on reality that they brought to us. And this one individual who I said I would shout out by name today, his name's John Adams, one of the students there. He did a report on set theory. Now, I didn't know anything. I'd heard the term, but I didn't know anything about set theory because it has to do with mathematics, and I'm allergic to mathematics. But anyway, set theory has to do with the idea that everything can be grouped together into, well, sets. We take like objects, we take like ideas, and we group them into sets for the purpose of moving things along. And so if you are looking for a singularity, you'll go to the set that you think contains it. If you're looking for chocolate ice cream, just pulled that one up. You'll go to a place that's likely to have it. You'll go to the ice cream aisle in the supermarket. You'll go to the ice cream store in your neighborhood. You won't go to the auto parts store. You won't go to because it's obviously that's not what has it, and then by habit, we build this repetition into our minds, into our lives, of where to find what we're looking for. And where not to look. And where not to look is as useful to us as where to look. Saves us time. We don't want to hunt down the wrong street. Well, in metaphysical set theory, the thing to realize is if everything belongs to a certain set, it may be qualified to that set under categorization that we've not anticipated. That is to say, if you look around this room and you pick out all the musical instruments that you can see, then you realize, well, anything can be a musical instrument. Anything certainly can be a percussion instrument. So pretty much everything, and you could beat on the chair you're sitting in. You could stamp your foot on the floor. All of this qualifies in some way. But we've tended to rule it out. We've tended to overlook it because it doesn't walk like a duck and quack like a duck. It doesn't appear to be a musical instrument. We look around our lives and we say, no, that's not it, and that's not it, and it's not here, and we need to look twice, like I said last week. We need to go back and search again for what the unifying characteristics are within the sets of life. We do this, the musical instrument idea and the chocolate ice cream idea are certainly minimal, trivial ideas, but we do this when sorting people. We do this when sorting the value of experience. We decide that this doesn't contain the good that I seek, and we pass it by, when in fact it might. When in fact it might have grown a dimension that we didn't see in it the first time around. There's something useful there. So when I thought of this and how to present these ideas to you, it was about a month ago. It's about a month out that I come up with these talk titles, and then I come up with a clever title, and then I have to build a talk around it. It's like, how's that going to work? Well, the first thing that occurred to me, this is about a month ago, a song lyric jumped into my head. It's often how my head works. And it's a song you may remember, especially those of you of a certain age. And it contained for me, when I first heard it, a perplexing question. Why would anyone leave a cake out in the rain? I was, I think, a preteen maybe, or new teenager. So when that song came out, you know, and it's a lament. Do you remember this song? It's got kind of a mournful. It comes to, is it MacArthur Park? Scott. Richard Harris, the actor from Camelot. Oh, okay. Oh, I'm thinking Scott McKenzie. There's some other song at the same time. Are you going to San Francisco? Look at these guys. Jimmy Webb wrote it. It copyrighted what year? Is it ASCAP or BMI, Brian? Do you know? Okay, y'all are amazing. Well, anyway. The internet says Richard Harris, and the internet is never wrong. And you know what? If you need more information, just go to the internet, and we can shut this whole thing down right now. Donna Summer did it? Covered it too? Really? Okay. All right. Try to bear with me, would you? Let's try. Let's all. This is a metaphor. You've heard of these before. This is a metaphor. So it's a sad little song, and I don't think I can take it because it took so long to bake it. And I'll never have the recipe again. And I remember when I first was hearing this, and it was on the radio every third song in the summer of '67 or something, I remember thinking, why wouldn't you have the recipe again? Okay, first of all, why would anybody leave a cake out in the rain? Well, it's a picnic, and it started to rain, and everybody ran for cover, and they overlooked the cake. Okay. Why would you never have the recipe again? And secondarily to that, why are you so upset about it? It's just a cake. Well, so do you need the recipe for the cake you left out in the rain? Is it that spectacular a recipe? Was that cake like the absolute pinnacle of all possible cakes that could be baked? Nothing is ever lost. It's there someplace in a non-physical dimension. What your grandmother knew that she never told you about, that you never thought to ask, that you never had the big conversation with her, it's still there in the universal mind. She's still there in the universal mind. In some new form or fashion, we don't know exactly what happens when we step off this earth, but the wisdom that she possessed is still there. So is the wisdom of the ages. So is the wisdom of all the great ones, the Jesuses and people that we worship and admire and think, well, they're, absolute spiritual giants. That's all there. But so's the practical stuff. With all due respect to Jesus and the Buddha and so on, they might not know how to fix your car. They might not have exactly what it is you need, but somebody has it. Somebody had it, and it's not lost. You just got to be open to it. And this is the thing with all spiritual work. Are we willing? Are we willing? How much can we believe? How much can we believe? A lot of times we ask ourselves that question, and we immediately take it to ridiculous extremes, so that we don't even believe that we can believe the thing we think we should be believing. Like that's completely, that we could have it all, that we could live forever. And that's not really even what we want. What we want is, do we believe that life can work functionally, that life can move through us and we move through life and we get what we need and we give back plenty? Can we believe that? Can we believe that it can be easier than it seems? A couple of weeks ago, I quoted Duke women's basketball coach to you, who said that so often people want things to be easier. Maybe they'll get easier. And she said in life, things don't get easier. You have to do hard better. She was talking to her team, actually, about this, about playing basketball, which is not an easy sport, And it doesn't come easily to you, especially, competitive tournaments and stuff. So you've got to do hard better. But that being said, at the same time, some things could be easier. Some things could be easier. And since you brought up the internet, I wasn't going to. But since you brought up the internet, I was saying to somebody just the other day how back in the day when creative life was new, and I sat across the way in my office, which at the time was upstairs, and I had a desk with a phone on it and a typewriter, and eventually a fax machine. And that was big when we got the fax machine. But somebody had donated us some fluorescent lights that were full spectrum, you know, like greenhouse lights. And they were up there in what is now, we haven't formally christened it yet, but Lehman Hall upstairs there next to Catherman Hall. And one of them burned out. And I couldn't find the people. They'd moved on, something who'd given it to us or whatever. But so we needed to replace this light, you know. But you couldn't take a regular fluorescent and put it next to it because it looked bad. Because one was kind of bluish light. You get the idea. So my point is, I got on the phone. Calling hardware companies and light bulb dealers going through the yellow pages, going across the city of Houston. Now, again, to those of us of a certain age, of course, that's just what you did. It took all day. And then we're like, well, we have it now, but we might not, you know, and do you want us to hold it for you? And I called a place in like Baytown, you know. Okay, so to drive, I didn't do it, you know, but this is what you had to do. If it was a strange little item, they weren't going to ship it to you automatically and have it here by drone by nightfall, the way things happen now. Well, in the internet, you can go and you can find information. And David in our class yesterday was doing what Lisa and Danielle do every Sunday here. Somebody mentioned a book, and boom, instantly in the chat, there's the link to buy the book and read more about it. What do you do if your Wi-Fi is down? I guess that could be the subtitle for the talk. What do you do if there is no internet? What do you do, seriously, what do you do if you don't know what you're looking for? You know, if it's a certain kind of light bulb or a certain kind of this, that's one thing. But what if you don't know what would scratch that itch? What do you do? Well, there's one mind, and you live in it. And it has all wisdom to it. And it groups this wisdom together into different categories, these different sets. And the set that I personally recommend is joy. Another set is love. Another set is prosperity. Another set is well-being. And what follows in that set? What is linked together in that set? It's not lost. We've been told things were lost. There's a lost word. That's a biblical image. The lost word that was spoken and all creation responded and flourished, and then the word was lost. And now what are we going to do about it? Well, it's not lost. It's just not widely known. It exists within this field of information. Heard about the missing link. Well, it's not missing. It's contained within this field of information. What is it that you want to know? What is it, the guidance that you need right now, today, to be fully who you are? It's in there, and all you got to do is ask and believe. Asking by itself is not enough because we ask and then, you know, we kind of lose interest in the thing, stop paying attention to it. But you ask and you believe and you listen, and you know that something is coming your way, some good is coming to find you. It's going to enrich your life, and through your life it's going to enrich all the world. And that's why it's doing what it's doing. It's not just there to be useful. It's there to be constructive. It's there to build the kind of world that Spirit envisions. Spirit envisions a world, as we say in this teaching, that works for everyone. Okay? A world in which everybody can thrive and everybody can benefit and everybody can mutually engage and share in love and joy and prosperity and well-being. And this is why this universal idea does what it does. Is because if your life gets better, the lives of the people around you get better. You know, if you feel better about yourself, you're a better citizen. You're a kinder person. That's good for the whole organism, the whole thriving experience of life. It's not just about each of us personally that we should thrive and we should benefit, but it's, again, an organic and collective thing. So what do? We listen. We listen to this thing. We say, show me some ideas here. And it will do this often in ways that are astonishing. It will show you stuff that you're not ready to see. Okay? It will tell you stuff that you're not ready to hear. It will be as if you ask a question. Sometimes it'll be as if you asked a question and the answer came to you in this beautiful, beautiful language that you don't understand a word of, but it sounds so pretty, just the way it falls off the tongue. Well, then what do you have to do? Well, then you trot along kind of behind it and you start learning the language. And how do you learn the language? Well, there are a lot of different ways we know, but one is to immerse yourself in it, to listen to it often enough, and it starts to make sense. This is why when people are like international students travel, they drop them into households, you know, and they say, okay, you're in, I don't know, France, let's say, and so we're going to just speak French to you. And for the first couple of weeks, you're going to be miserable because you're not going to know what we're saying and you're not going to know how to communicate what it is you need. And but you will, you know, if you want to eat, if you want to have any kind of positive experience here, all of a sudden stuff will start making sense. And it'll be like these cryptoquip puzzles that you see in the paper where you're trying to figure out which letter means what, you know, because there's a code to it. Well, which are the letters that appear the most frequently? That's probably a vowel, you know. And so you start listening to other languages, and the words that repeat themselves, the phrases that most often occur, you say, this is significant. You know, this is something I need as the substrate to build my understanding of this language on. Well, the same is true of spiritual work. We get a lot of times stuff in symbols. Y'all were just singing. I could be wrong, but I think that's out of the book of Malachi, that passage you were just singing about, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. It has to do with God's blessings on the faithful, you know. And, well, it sounds like a blender, doesn't it? It sounds like God's making breakfast drink, or maybe martinis, or I don't know. But it's a metaphor. Again, it's a symbolic thing. Or there's another passage in the Old Testament talks about the windows of heaven shall be opened up, and there shall be such a blessing poured out upon you, there shall not be room enough to receive it. You've heard that. It's a lovely image. Although, back in the day, they opened the upstairs windows, and it wasn't a blessing they poured out. So, what is this saying to you? You have to translate it. You have to think of this. You have to involve yourself in this idea. You have to realize that some things are symbols and they're representative of other things. And then it will begin to make sense to you over time. We often get shown things before we're ready to know them, and then we have to grow. Then we have to grow. There's a line I love to quote. You've heard it often from me. You've heard it often from Reverend Lisa as well, that joy, ever since it heard your name, joy has been running through the streets trying to find you. Isn't that beautiful? Oh my gosh, that's Hafiz, Shams Hafiz. And of the Sufi poets, Hafiz and Rumi, you know, how they put words together. It was so inspiring, so beautiful. See, he could have said it in a real mundane way, wouldn't engage as much, you know. What you seek is seeking you. Well, that's nice, and it's true. But to say joy is running through the streets, and I picture in this the narrow streets, given his culture when he's saying this, the narrow streets of the old quarter of the city, you know, that kind of thing. And here's joy, and joy is looking around the corner. Where are you? I've heard your name. I've been running through the streets trying to find you. What has to happen for joy to find us running through the streets? We stand still. We stop. We turn. We allow. We permit this connection to happen. We stop, to quote Rumi now, we stop swimming so hard and climbing the boat, you know. We stop fending the thing off. So is there something you want to know in the coming week about your own process? Here's something very powerful for people in adulthood to realize. Why was your family the way it was? What was really going on? What was really happening? This is so healing to do this. You know, your parents maybe, I don't know, maybe they were kind of cranky. Maybe they were kind of unsettled. Maybe they were, and as a little kid, you just thought this was about you, and you didn't like it. And maybe you got yelled at some, or you know, scolded, or it didn't seem fair, and you didn't realize they didn't have any money. Or you didn't realize there was sickness, or you didn't realize what they were working on. What Ernest Holmes calls the unconscious burden of the soul. Why are people the way they are? Why are people in your life today or in the world today the way they are? this can give you information about that. Not to where you overstep and you take charge of their process and you psychoanalyze them and you get all up in their business. Not at all that. Okay? But instead, you come to understand everybody's working on something. Everybody's working through something. And if I just step back, take a deep breath, I can realize it's not about me, it's not aimed at me, and it's all right. And I can issue them a blessing. Pressed down, shaken together, and running over. I can issue them a blessing in my mind that they're getting the information that they need. They're getting the empowerment that they need to grow and to be in the presence fully of love and to demonstrate that and circulate that, like y'all's song said, circulate it. So I finally, this in the play, I said, y'all's song, I've been here a while now in this part of the world, and so y'all has become part of my vocabulary. It did actually about the first week I was here, because it's very easy, it's very compact, it's much more fluent than "use guys," you know. But with this group that we were working with yesterday, who are spread out mostly on the West Coast, but they're spread out across the country, we explained to everyone, Brother Dewhurst and I, who's not from here, explained to everyone the difference between all and all y'all. And this is good to know, too. So I wish you a happy and wonderful week, and I'll be back up. And all of this is made possible. We need money, you know, to do some of this stuff. We have information, and we have loving kindness, and we have incredible teamwork in this center. And sometimes you got to salt all of that with a little bit of money. So that's why we have a collection, and we've had a collection, gosh, every Sunday forever that we've been doing this, as most spiritual centers do, and there are other ways to give electronically online and stuff if you'd like to do that. So we come to a point in the service where we take up our ushers, I see, have leapt into position. Aren't they adorable, our ushers? And they will be passing amongst us with the baskets after we take our gift in hand and say together, divine love through me blesses and multiplies all the good I am and have, all the good I give and receive. I am prosperous now, and so it is.
Y'all may have noticed some faces missing today. Like we're being our own roadie today because Mel B isn't here. I'm sure she's off having fun. You also may have noticed that Danielle is not here. She was invited to read her original poetry at Unity of the Woodlands. So that's why she is not here. I don't know about this. We might have to start chaining her to that chair. We wouldn't do that. We want her to get her poetry out there, right? And yes, I'm going to acknowledge my voice is a little weird. My husband and I ran away yesterday, and so I was outdoors all day. So I'm sure my allergies are just done with me, and so my voice is like, oh, okay, we're going to sound like this. I have not been smoking 3 packs a day. So, and it'll be back to normal in a couple of days, I'm sure, because I'm going to go be outside all day today, too. I'm going to go see Shakespeare in the Park. I hope you have something as fun as that planned. All right. So I just wanted you to know, we do have some faces missing, but we know where they are. This is where I miss Danielle. I'm good with computers. Danielle's a whiz at computers. So to find the Zoom link, I had to go back to last week's service and pull it out of the chat because I couldn't figure out how to get it out of the email. And I'm just like, oh, okay. I miss Danielle. So, yeah, that's why I'm threatening to chain her to the chair. It's for my benefit. All right. But the Zoom link is in there. And if not, it's the same Zoom link. So if you've used it before, just reuse it. We don't change it. We don't want to make it any more difficult for you than it already is, for technology. Yay. It's a wonderful thing when it works. So, it is a beautiful day out there. An absolutely gorgeous day out there. And I did tell you I'm going to go see Shakespeare in the Park. I hope you have something fun planned for that. But before we do that, what I'm going to do is invite you to consciously enter into the sacred with me. I like to remind you, it is all sacred all the time. But there are times where we deliberately enter into the sacred. We remind ourselves that this is a sacred space, this is a sacred time, and that we are meeting with the ultimate ground of our being. That which created us, that which knows us to be good, that which wants nothing for us but good. And as we enter into that space purposefully, amazing things happen. So know with me that there is one life. There is one power. There is one presence. There is one mind. There is one love. And it is in that love that all things are possible. It is in that love that amazing things are born. And each and every one of us are the divine channels for that love to enter into this material plane. Whatever it is that is hiding in your heart, that love is ready for. That power is poised for. That presence is willing. And so I know that for all of those hopes and dreams that hide within our heart, that we make them known because we are ready. That they burst forth from us as flowers do in spring, like bird song, into full fruition, to make this world the amazing place that it already is into our reality now. And I know this with all of the gratitude in my being, because gratitude is one of the most amazing powers out there, because it is simply another word for love. And I am grateful for this teaching. I am grateful for this teaching that teaches me who I am. I am grateful for this teaching that teaches me who you are. Beloved expressions of the divine. I am grateful for our musicians, our practitioners, our ministers, this amazing technology. I am grateful for each and every one of you. I am grateful for this amazing community. I am grateful for the technology that lets us send this message out into the ethers where it may be reached by those that are ready and those that are not. And I relax into this knowing, releasing it into that law with love, the law that always says yes. And so it is.
Say with me now, something wonderful is happening through me.
Something wonderful is happening through me.
I feel it in my body.
I feel it in my
I
body.
feel it in my mind.
I feel it in my mind.
I feel it in everything I am.
I feel it in everything I am.
I choose it.
I choose it.
I trust it.
I trust it.
I use it.
I use it.
And I love it.
And I love it.
So it is.
And so it is.